Hello and welcome to the special edition of ET Catalyse on the crypto conundrum. Over the last 2 years, we have picked the brains of the best marketeers and business leaders from across industries and sectors, from upstarts to solvers. We have learned how the fundamentals still remain relevant, but also have evolved, and saw that in action as we covered the changing business landscape. Today's session is a special one. We're covering an industry which has not just exploded in India, but has now become proverbially too hot to handle, if I may say. Welcome to the world of cryptocurrency. To cover something of this magnitude, we'll be breaking the special edition in 2 parts. Part 1 will be moderated by me. We call it the Crypto 101, how India became the hottest place for crypto trading. We'll delve deep into what are the factors driving its growth, who are the users, and what have been the stakeholder challenges. Part 2 will be moderated by Miloni Bhatt, who will deal how the industry is reaching the masses and what lies in store. Over to you, Miloni.
Thanks very much, Deepak, and I welcome you all to this panel. And it's time for us to get into our sessions.
For part 1, we're joined by Edul Patel from Mudrex, Gaurav from Bitbns, and Sathvik from Unocoin. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for being part of ET Catalyse, the Crypto Special. Cryptocurrencies have seen an exponential rise in the interest across the strata, from consumers, regulators, the government, and even PMO, if I may say, with a sustained daily surge in the trading volumes at the exchanges. India possibly has the highest number of crypto owners in the world, I'm told, about 10 odd crore. But what are the factors that have led to the growth and adoption of crypto in India at the pace that it is today?
When you talk about adoption, I think we've seen this wave coming since the last 4 or 5 years now. And the first kind of set was just individual creators, individual users, mostly people who understood the technology, fell in love with it, trying to participate with this wealth creation that was happening, right? I think one of the very positive things that happened was the ban that was repelled. It wasn't a ban, but the blockade that was repelled effectively last year, that made it kind of sort of more acceptable for a lot of people to start moving into crypto and start participating in the growth of the asset class. And I think over the last kind of sort of year-ish, what has happened is that there has been general euphoria, multiple different use cases coming into picture, and a lot of the technology that was just technology and written documents 2 years ago, those coming into fruition, right? Like with DeFi, what we are seeing is that a lot of the finance is moving towards crypto. With NFTs, there is a lot of art and collection that is moving towards crypto and so on and so forth. So a lot of things that were just speech has now come to reality, right? And that, of course, generates interest. That interest has then, of course, piqued curiosity for a lot of people. And as a result, we've started to see this, rapid movement of not only traders coming in, but actual genuine individual retail investors coming into crypto and starting to be a part of this wealth creation revolution as we are seeing, and in India and across the world as well.
Sathvik, do you notice the crypto adoption trends in India different than how it's been adopted in other parts of the world?
I mean, when we are calling about adoption, if it means using it for what it was built, which is for payments, I don't think so. And even in other parts of the world, actually, the adoption technically have reduced. But right now, it only have much more of the asset kind of value, which is in the hopes that in the future, this utility will kind of grow and it will be valuable. Right. So in that way, as an asset, yeah, we have definitely seen a humongous interest within the last 18 months, within India. And the common people who never have invested in their lifetime, right? So neither for real estate or equities or commodities or even for gold, they are considering and have considered crypto as their first investment. And in our own customer base, we have 80% of them in that manner. So where it's the young population and the first investment that they are doing itself is in crypto. So they want to grow with that is what I have seen. And these trends we had seen in China maybe 4 to 5 years ago, and it used to be similar in US 3 years ago, I think. And we just got delayed by multiple reasons, by blockages and such. But nevertheless, we are passing through the same phases of journey that the other developer countries have already passed through.
Gaurav, if I can come to you. So for adoption, you need to begin with acceptance, right? As crypto as an asset class, crypto as something that people want to treasure or hold on to. Now, to come at the stage of acceptance or even understanding to begin with, in the realm of marketing, because at ET Catalyse, we want to understand how marketing products and consumer trends are important. What was the effort taken by the industry, or if you can cite example from your own company, what were the efforts taken in marketing to understand or bring in the acceptance around crypto as an investment class or cryptocurrency to begin with?
So we tried kind of identifying what sort of demographics were we sort of dealing with. We kind of tried earlier sort of marketing efforts around some of the equities demographics, and we found them to be a lot more sort of concerned earlier to kind of participate in crypto as a whole. And that's when we sort of realized that demographics are slightly different. It's more into a 20 to 32 sort of a demographics. And we also started noticing, like, for different products, the demographics sort of differ widely. So when we kind of had the trading product, 90% of our audience was male. We then launched an SIP product, and our women audience sort of doubled. So that was very interesting for us. Like, women inherently understand savings and kind of are more thrifty, rather than kind of more impulsive in terms of how they sort of trade or kind of manage their finances. So for us, it has also been fairly product led sort of marketing. Hey, what is something that's missing right now in the spectrum of things that users sort of need? And how do we sort of address that? And it should not be a one size fits all sort of an approach. It should be more tailored as to what is the current need of the market. And what we're trying to sort of increase and sort of like empower is how do we kind of increase the women participation that's kind of happening into crypto, right? Predominantly, right, even in this panel, right, like most of us kind of represent one sex, right? So how do we kind of ensure that even in the investment or the trade or those sort of categories, and what needs to be sort of done for that? Because in a lot of houses, women manage the finances, like they ensure that the sort of things are running well. So we've been trying to tailor marketing efforts or sort of communicating the content around that and understanding what sort of impact does it have in terms of the end user.
It'll, from whatever we read and what we also have heard from you all, there's a younger demographic which is an early adopter, quick adopter of crypto as a currency or crypto as an investment. But in your experience, when you're catering to this young profile, is it more challenging? Is this young demography more impulsive, or are there very different marketing techniques one has to use to appeal to this generation?
Yeah, so actually, a lot of this is being driven by the millennial class and slightly younger populations across the board. And as you rightly said, there is an impulse, but the impulse is not biased towards action. The impulse is actually to understand and learn more and get to know things a lot, right? So on that front, what we've seen is that the more and more people invest, the more they try and get involved. And when I say try and get involved, they contribute to our Discord communities, they help, they come and read more and more of our content and try and actually understand more what's going on. And most of the investments is also not life-changing, right? Like in a lot of cases, what we've seen is that what we are calling it impulsive, at Mudrex, we are seeing it as the mentality to try and see what's working, what's not working, how it's there. Because the kind of investments that most folks are doing are also small ticket size with the intent of learning how everything works and then using that as like a push to understand this new way of kind of value creation, value exchange in a better method.
Sathvik, at what stage is marketing and communication for the consumers today for the crypto industry? I mean, if one defines different stages of marketing communication in the journey, right? What do you think? Where does the crypto industry stage lie today? At what stage is the industry?
I think most of the people or the investors who are getting into this don't know exactly what they're getting into, and most of the times they don't know why they're getting into it, right? So when we say about Bitcoin and how it can be used for payment and how the blockchain technology works, and a lot of people are not really interested in that. Instead, they just see the graphs and they feel like, okay, this is a very outperforming asset, and they want to make money through this. I think this is kind of little risky in nature over the long term. And within the last 18 months, which is when about 90% of the people in India have got involved due to like multiple companies being there and after the Supreme Court verdict, etc. So we have actually seen a very good bullish market. So people now, whoever are involved, have got into this space, have not seen how it feels like if the prices become stable or it kind of will be dull for multiple years continuously. So people should be aware of that. And if they are doing the diversification of the portfolio, they should maintain the healthy diversification. Else, just like crypto is always risky in nature. And even that people don't read. So it's like, how people don't read the terms and conditions of a bank opening, bank account opening form. In a very similar way, even if they open the accounts with cryptocurrency exchanges as well, no matter how much you force them, there are many that they don't read. When it comes to the marketing itself, it's kind of tricky in nature because we definitely are not educating them through marketing about the regulatory risk or about the financial risks or about the legal risks. Generally, the marketing is more in terms of how the customer adoption has increased and how many people have got into it, how they have made money, and maybe sometimes offers and features of different portals, I think. So it is definitely not aligned for time being, but however, it is a growth stage of market, I think. So now the companies are more eager to get as many customers as possible for time being. And on the other side, each of the companies have an education initiative already in place. So we have a portal called Unoversity, UNOVERSITY, so which teaches our customers through the proper structured courses about the Bitcoin, blockchain, Ethereum, and terminologies used, etc. But there are very limited number of people will go that far to learn it. For a lot of others, okay, I have put 1,000 now, and when it is becoming 1,500. So that's the kind of questions they have, I think. So the marketing should eventually get focused on education also, I think.
Gaurav, you talked about SIPs, right? So look, Bitcoin has gone through its ups and downs. One number says that it has gone up 400% in a very short span of time, just a year, I'm told. So, and then suddenly the value became so high that it was impossible to buy even one single Bitcoin for a lot of people. And then came the whole step of what you talked about, the SIPs, the crypto SIPs, which have been offered, or at least by some. Can you just help us understand how does a crypto SIP work?
The basic definition of SIP states that if you are sort of dealing with anything that has volatility, you should systematically invest into it rather than taking a one-off exposure, right? So precisely why with the mutual fund SIA campaign and all, there was focus around SIPs, hey, you should systematically invest. Now, if you kind of talk of asset classes, right? Like, so you have gold, you have real estate, you have equities, then you have sort of crypto as a whole. So crypto is like a baby. It's like a few years old versus equities, which is hundreds of years old, real estate, which is thousands of years old, and so on with gold. So gold has the least volatility, then real estate is out there. Then equities is a bit more volatile. Crypto is far more volatile, right? So when you kind of look at something like equities, SIPs have worked well there. We tried kind of doing the same thing with Bitcoin. So this is 2019. We were kind of talking with a few folks. 2017 had a lot of uptick in terms of how many people kind of started investing into crypto. A lot of them through Unocoin, Zepay, and popular sort of apps that were out there. And then we had the bear market where Bitcoin lost 85% of its value. And we spoke with a few people and they're like, hey, we invested at the peak of the market when Bitcoin was 14 lakhs. Now it is 2.5 lakhs. What do we do now, right? And we're like, so a trading or sort of direct investment is not a product that everyone should sort of subscribe to. And that's when we figured out, okay, hey, what can be a better product there? So we looked at SIP there. And surprisingly speaking, so we have over 250,000 people that regularly invest into SIPs with us. We see that they do a daily SIP. 85% of them do a daily SIP, which is very, very different from traditional equities market. Equities market is a monthly SIP, max to max a weekly SIP. 85% of our users do a daily SIP. which is very, very interesting because, and like they inherently understood like Bitcoin is a lot more volatile. Within a month, the price can double or get half. So if you don't do a more frequent SIP, it would not kind of capture the true essence of how the market is sort of shaped up, right?
That's surprising. They accepted that it's going to be highly volatile, changing almost every day, and that's how the daily SIP concept.
Right.
Okay.
And quite a few of them like started with a monthly SIP and then shifted to a daily SIP. So we kind of saw that sort of trend, and 85% of the people do that now. And we've kind of gradually then started introducing things. So we had Bitcoin, then we kind of had Ethereum. With Bitcoin SIP, the stats read this way, like the price of Bitcoin does not go below the Bitcoin SIP price for more than 2 weeks. You can take any data for the last 11 years, and the price of Bitcoin at any point in time has not gone below the Bitcoin SIP price for more than 2 weeks. So if it goes, it kind of bounces back within 2 weeks because your SIP would continue and it would also average down your price from there. So that has been a very, very important understanding for us. And we're like, hey, this is something that is critical for users to kind of adopt. And we feel that the education that is sort of lacking, where you should not sort of tell everyone to get along and start investing with 100 rupees, give them and kind of give them access, hey, you can invest in any asset that is out there. It should be more structured. It should be based on the risk profile of the user. And that way, I think it is much better. In general, people are going to be more fascinated about the aspect around how the price moves and other things. But if you can figure out what's the risk profile of the user and then offer something to him which is more appropriate to him, that has a lot of value.
In all the marketing campaigns that you've done, could you help us understand what were the successful strategies that really helped you acquire customers, or at least bring in adoption for your platform?
Yes, I think what has worked actually best for us in the longer run is piquing curiosity and getting people to understand what is there in crypto. And we do broadly two things that work really well for us. We do a lot of things with communities. We do a lot of things with YouTube creators and so on and so forth. And over there, content that has helped people understand more about crypto gets actually more users. That's what we've seen. The other thing that has also worked really well for us is essentially friends telling their friends about interesting, unique products that we create. So for example, Gaurav mentioned that we've got a product called as CoinSets, which is effectively investing in basket of tokens. The idea over there was exactly that most investors ke liye just going out and buying Bitcoin is effectively going out and buying or picking Reliance ka stock to invest. It's a way to invest in equities, but that's not the best way to invest in. That's not what most people advise people to. They typically advise people to put in money in mutual funds, put in money in index funds and so on and so forth. And that's where, creating these basket products help. So essentially helping users create and pique curiosity for their friends for products like this helped a lot to us.
So the basket approach is like spreading the risk among few coins so that the volatility is mapped. Okay.
Correct. Effectively, just like how you would, let's say, invest in a Nifty 50 and as an index to participate in equities, you can simply invest in a coin set or a basket that we call as crypto blue chip, which lets you invest in the top tokens in crypto.
Sathvik, in your efforts of doing ad campaigns or initiatives to grow this adoption, do you decide there's a line that you won't cross? Is it? I mean, do you show bumper returns and to do it? What is it that really worked for you? And more so because sometimes there's a whole moral binding also that okay, let me not overpromise. Also, do you draw a line, or have these things ever been a discussion point for you in your company?
We don't talk about the returns here when we are doing any kind of advertising. So we may be showing past performance sometimes to just compare like how it is with the gold or it's with the equity market, NASDAQ and such things. But however, obviously the past performance is definitely not what the future would rely upon. And at least we being in this industry for 8 years, we being the first crypto exchange in India, I mean, we have seen more than enough times where the prices significantly fall and stay there for multiple years. So like I was saying, 90% of the people in India who are into crypto today are the ones who have started within the last 18 months. and they are yet to see the downturn markets. So we obviously are always cautious of what we want to tell it to our users, and we talk about our features. We talk about SBP, which is similar to SIP that we have on our platform. Then we have Crypto Basket, which helps our customers to diversify their portfolio into different kinds of crypto assets, etc. But eventually, yeah, we just don't cross that line of talking about the returns to our customers.
In your experience, is crypto adoption happening more in tier 1 town, tier 2, tier 3? What's your experience at your exchange?
It started with tier 1, but the surge is coming from tier 2.
Okay. But what about you, Gaurav?
So like we're seeing users from everywhere. 60% of our users 18 months back were from top 10 metros. Now it is less than 38%. So we're seeing a lot more tier 2, 3, 4.
Tier 2, tier 3. Okay. How about you, Sathvik?
Yeah, tier 2 and tier 3 is where we see the most. I think tier 1 kind of whoever are those so-called investors kind of have jumped on to the platform at one or other point of time already. So if I'm seeing the last 6 months data, yeah, it's mostly about tier 2 and tier 3, which is actually the bigger population.
Yeah.
So, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin, even now NFT, the big craze, right? They're all central blockchain technologies behind these virtual currencies or NFTs. But the primary source of it, blockchain, is actually a decentralized approach, right? And technology, in a way, is being used to decentralize all of it. But with regulation comes in everything centralized, single common approach kind of thing. Now, in all of this, what happens to innovation? Because sometimes when there are too many guidelines, right, then one says that innovation will sort of get a cap. Do you see that possibly happening? Is there a fear of that also happening?
Actually, to be honest, the biggest fear is exactly that happening. That because you see, the intent of or the purpose of why even blockchains come into exist is so that individual creators can create value and capture value in a different way as compared to how it continued to happen in Web 2, right? So for example, Web 2 may a YouTube creator is at the mercy of YouTube algorithm to send users to them, and at the mercy of the YouTube ad network to provide ads on their videos and as a result monetize their content, right? Like Web3 fundamentally tries to remove intermediaries like YouTube and as a result create value and capture value. And limitations on how that value can get created and captured is what I guess most regulations are trying to do. So if you're trying to fundamentally limit that, you will fundamentally limit innovation and so on and so forth as to what happens in Web3. So the biggest concern today with regulation is not that whether trading will get allowed or not, or asset holding will be allowed or not, but effectively what of blockchain will you allow to do or not, so that what kind of innovation will be available or not for people to bring.
Is there a role for blockchain in the world of marketing technology or ad tech? I mean, do you have examples for us to understand and our readers?
You can classify it in different forms, right? Blockchain enables certain things. Let's kind of take, for example, NFTs, right? So NFTs are kind of getting pretty widely used right now for everything from movie ticketing to event ticketing to even sort of concerts and other sort of exclusive launches and all. So just for example, the movie 83 that's sort of releasing would have sort of an NFT-based exclusive premiere show that people can kind of participate in, right? So marketing blockchain in general directly would not, but things getting built on top of blockchain like NFTs and other things definitely are already doing that at scale, right? So Nike recently sort of bought a company which creates avatars and sort of manifestations of shoes in metaverse. Now Nike has bought that company and they're kind of looking to kind of create sort of a way for people to express themselves in metaverse, and people would be able to sort of buy those shoes or interact with them in that. Adidas already has sort of doing that. So a lot of these things are already happening. So marketing as a way would fundamentally also experience a very rapid shift.
One very interesting example of marketing tech as such changing is that let's just look at the biggest marketing engine in the world today, which is Google AdWords. Right? Google AdWords, the way it works is that on the one hand, there are publishers who are paying Google's algorithm some money to get the attention of individual users across the internet, right? there is a company called as, or rather a token called as Basic Attention Token that fundamentally tries to reorganize this equation. In the Google world, publishers come in, pay Google, and get access to users. Users don't earn anything, right? What BAT or Basic Attention Token tries to change is that they've created a browser of their own. If you're using their browser, you can publish ads and you can select whether you want to see ads or not. If you want to see ads, you earn tokens. So instead of Google capturing value, users are now capturing value, and for effectively the value that they are trying to add, which is attention, right? So the kind of sort of intermediary parts are moving out of this system, and that's what truly blockchain and Web3 is about, right? Like the intermediaries, they should get removed. Value should pass on to those people who are trying to add value. In the case of marketing and advertising, value that individual users add is attention. So why don't monetize that attention?
Sathvik, 3 beginner tips for investing in crypto.
I think people should do their own research and make sure that they are ready to lose that money that they are risking, because they can never be sure. And they should definitely not take the loan, and they should not hear to the friends.
3 marketing tricks that have worked for crypto space in general. I mean, not just for Mudrex, I'm saying that in general for the crypto sector, 3 marketing techniques or tricks that have worked.
I think building communities is at the forefront. Post that, creating content to educate communities comes after, and then building referral mechanisms to help your friends spread the content and the product that you're building works.
Yeah.
So community content and referral, I think, is top for us.
PCR. I love jargons and I love terms. ET Catalyse loves to make people learn these. 3 innovations that you think crypto has brought about.
Right. So one is DeFi. The second one is NFTs. So uniquely showcasing something is unique, basically digital things were copy pastable and there is no way to differentiate them. DeFi again, so decentralized finance doesn't need any sort of access. The poorest of the poor can access it. And you don't need sort of a certain standing or a civil score to sort of access it. And apart from that, the basic sort of prowess to send money across the planet within a fraction of a second, that's something that was not out there.
This brings me to my final round. We call it the rapid fire round, thanks to Karan Johar. 3, again, quick questions. 1 word or at best 4-word line answer from you. Okay, not more. If you were to name your own cryptocurrency, what would you call it?
Gcoin.
Sorry, come again?
Gcoin.
Gcoin. Okay. Edul?
Alpha.
Alpha. Sathvik?
I mean, we are already called Unocoin.
New one, kuch naya.
We just call it as Uno, UNO.
Okay. Okay, right. Next question, we'll start with you, Sathvik, this time.
Yeah.
Which is the next breakout cryptocurrency according to you?
I think something more related to metaverse is what it looks like to me. Right.
Okay.
So MANA could be MANA, Decentraland. It looks like promising. I think.
Okay. Edul?
So I believe it's unfair to talk about individual tokens. So from a basket perspective, I think NFTs and metaverse are doing the best.
I love the way you plug in your baskets, but thank you. Gaurav?
Yeah, I think some of them are in the works. I think there are very few promising projects that are kind of coming up. India, there is a lot of stuff that's happening. So some of them I'm kind of advising or kind of mentoring some of them. I think some of them hold promise. Can't name them because they are not yet launched. But on the longer side, I think Polygon is kind of a good bet.
We are almost at the end of 2021. Imagine you're waking up in 2026. Cryptocurrency is completely legal in India. What would be the first thing that you did on 1st Jan 2026?
Well, went down and bought eggs with crypto. Just like how I do with UPI today.
Ande ka funda? Okay, you trade crypto for anda. Thank you. Sathvik, what about you?
Yeah, I think, I mean, this 2026 is too early to predict that. But maybe I may prefer buying a laptop with crypto. That's probably is more happening. Maybe 2030 is what it looks like to me when it comes to X.
Okay, you'll buy the laptop, mine more crypto maybe. Great. Thank you so much, Gaurav. How about you?
Talk to Amazon and Flipkart to enable crypto payments with Bitbns. So
All the three of you have your wishes. May God grant it in 2026 for all the three of you.